The Badlands, running the Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Oh, yeah. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, let's go, Queen Bee. Woo! Welcome, everybody. Patriots are in control. Are you there, Brad?
Oh, yeah.
Woo! Let's go. Hope you guys
Let's
enjoyed
do
that.
it.
I always like to get a little pumped up. Can you feel it? I can feel it. I feel a lot of panic, and I feel it and I see it. So we're going to actually, we probably should. Well, Brad, how are you doing? I'm all like, let's go get him, boys.
I'm soaking it all in. I'm still loving the fact that Don Lemon was put in handcuffs and arrested.
Yes. Is there photos of this?
I don't know. Just the fact that it happened. I've heard him complaining about it. He was like, I offered to turn myself in. They wanted to humiliate me. Like, oh, yeah. So he had no problem, though. And they surrounded Roger Stone's house like a SWAT team where all these other people who were arrested.
This is in general. Like, who is like, okay, I'm going to wake up today and join a group of misfits that are like rioting and tying themselves in front of cars and everything and break into a church and just be a dick. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's literally what he did. And it's like, you can see that the assets have been being, they're like, oh, deployed, right? You need to go to this. You guys over there, you need to go to that. Everybody in Hollywood, you know, you got to do this narrative. And again, that takes us back to the panic. You see it's happening because why would they be doing all this, defense, or you know what I mean? It's because now we are on the offense. For the longest time, they had all the control. Now Trump walks in and people are like, oh shit. A storm is a coming. So
a storm is a brewing.
A storm is a brewing. I am going to, should we read our ads first?
Yeah.
I have them pulled up here. Okay. So I'm going to thank our wonderful sponsors, everybody. So hold tight. First, we want to thank Benson Honey. Welcome to Benson Honey Farms, where every jar is pure gold. Benson Honey is excited to be back on Badlands Media with their latest 2025 honey harvest, straight from, sorry, I had to stretch that out, their farm in Nebraska, where they've been busy working to improve our state politics from the ground up. They never forgot the importance of sharing the best honey around. Did you know honey isn't just a sweet treat? It's nature's medicine, Bradley. Perfect for alleviating allergies, soothing upset stomachs, or as a delicious natural sweetener for baking. Benson Honey is never heated, ensuring you receive it in its pure, raw form, full of natural goodness. At Benson Honey Farms, quality and purity is top priority, and they're committed to providing the finest honey from hive to home. Join the supportive community. Enjoy special offer. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/honey and use promo code Badlands for 15% off your purchase. Benson Honey Farms, savor the authentic taste of Nebraska and support this America First business. Follow them on Facebook at Benson Honey Farms. So thank you guys so much. And next up, Michelle, who we love so much, very own Tamarack Garden. Are you looking for a better alternative to the over-the-counter drugstore medications? Tamarack Garden began from a parent's desperate need for safe and effective options for their kids. Tired of toxic chemicals? Taking matters into their own hands, they began crafting medicine from weeds, which he talks about all the time. The weeds are where the magic is, guys. Wildflowers and herbs, the original time-tested healer that modern medicine cannot match. Packed with antiviral herbs to boost immunity and fight illness, Tamarack Gardens has for a limited time their elderberry and rosehip syrup kit available. Yes, this is the best one, and it was out of stock because it was so freaking popular. I know because I tried to buy it. Not only is it delicious, no more battles with kids, and easy to make, it will keep you and your family healthy all fall and winter. And coming into the spring. Introducing Tamarack Garden's new baby line, clean, non-toxic, and gentle for newborns and moms, relieving cradle cap, diaper rash, stretch marks, and postpartum pain. Visit tamarackgarden.com today and use promo code Badlands for $10 off orders over $50. Remember to eat your weeds. tamarackgarden.com, promo code Badlands. So thank you guys so much. And she's got such great stuff. And also, honey is like the healer of all. So, did you read this at all?
I did not know.
You did not read this. Okay. It was breaking news for me, but by the time I read it, it's already been out for 8 hours. But that's how it is in Alaska, right? So this was put out by Global Government Affairs. I think it's through, it's got the X symbol here. So it says French judicial authorities raided ex-Paris office today in connection with a politicized criminal investigation into alleged manipulation of algorithms and purported fraudulent data extraction. We are disappointed by this development, but we are not surprised. The Paris Public Prosecutor's Office widely publicized the raid. Okay, so there's key. Making clear that today's action was an abusive act of law enforcement theater designed to achieve illegitimate political objectives rather than to advance legitimate law enforcement goals rooted in the fair and impartial administration of justice. So they go in there, alleged manipulation of algorithms, right? And it goes more into it. The Paris Public Prosecutor's Office is plainly attempting to exert pressure on ex-senior management in the United States by targeting our French entity and employees, who are not the focus of this investigation. Really interesting. The prosecutor's office has ignored the established procedural mechanisms to obtain evidence in compliance with international treaties and X rights to defend itself. These procedural mechanisms are well known and used on a daily basis by judicial authorities around the world. So just saying, you guys aren't doing it right. The allegations underlying today's raid are baseless, and X categorically denies any wrongdoing. Today's staged raid reinforces our conviction that this investigation distorts French law, circumvents due process, and endangers free speech. X is committed to defending its fundamental rights and the rights of its users. We will not be intimidated by the actions of the French judicial authorities today. So that was really pretty bold there.
Yeah, they had no problem with Twitter, when it was Twitter, pushing the algorithms and just in general pushing progressive sludge on the world for a decade, over a decade. But now that they think the algorithms might be pushing towards conservatism, oh my God, raid their offices. This is pure garbage right here. Are you muted?
I heard you say something and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I mean, I'm trying to find the actual allegation. I hope I can track down when we are live here. But it was, what I read was that there were people manipulating it and making it to make videos of pornographic nature, maybe of like child pornographic nature using Grok. Okay. This goes into the same thing me and you and Brad when we were talking about with Jim Watkins on 4chan. They're like, oh, there's stuff, so we got to close the whole thing down. I see this is the same tactic. Oh, somebody made child porn, which is absolutely terrible, using Grok, which I also think is not possible because I'm not trying to do that. You know that video of John Podesta when he's all dressed up in that crazy outfit?
Yeah.
Well, it shows a little low, right? It shows a little low on the photo. And when I was animating it, Grok said, can't do that because it's inappropriate. So I had to crop the photo, right? And didn't even show anything quite yet. So I had to crop the photo and then animated it. So I firsthand can say that I've been stopped by Grok, doing inappropriate videos for me. So that's what I've observed.
So they're saying this is with child porn, that X is being used to make child porn?
That's what I'm going to try to find. I read it. Hopefully they go through in this quick clip because this goes with the attached. Or maybe this is a response. Okay. Oh, this is my response. Because I was just going by
this where it was, it was talking about manipulation of algorithms. I'm like, are you kidding me? They've been manipulating the algorithms on every platform, even X until it was bought by Elon Musk forever.
Right. And I think I did find the video. And just real quick before I play it, Kirill Dmitriev responded and he goes, as predicted, a coordinated attack by the EU and UK on X. Daddy will not be happy. Remember, Daddy isn't Daddy Trump. I don't know. I'll go around and find out. So let's see what it says here. Okay.
Breaking developments to bring you from the UK's Information Commissioner's Office that has opened formal investigations into X and Grok, the artificial intelligence system. They say they've taken this step following reports that Grok has been used to generate non-consensual sexual imagery of individuals, including children. William Malcolm, Executive Director of Regulatory Risk and Innovation at the Information Commissioner's Office, said the following, and I paraphrase slightly, but the reports about Grok raise deeply troubling questions about how personal data is being used to generate intimate or sexualized images without knowledge or consent, and whether...
Okay, bro, hold on. You could do this with any AI, right? I'm just going to say this real quick. I'll play it again. But you could do this with any AI, or you could get into the code of AI and make it happen. So this is a possibility. We all knew it, and we all know people probably making porn with it or whatever, right? I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying, why only X? Why only Grok?
Why only Grok? That's a good call.
Necessary safeguards put in place to prevent this. Losing control of personal data can cause immediate and significant harm, particularly the case where children are involved. Our role is to address the data protection concerns at the center of this, recognizing that other organizations have important responsibilities. working closely with Ofcom and international regulators to ensure roles are aligned and that people's safety and privacy are protected. We will continue to work in partnership as part of coordinated efforts to create trust in digital services. Our investigation will assess whether the systems behind Grok have complied with data protection law in the development and deployment of Grok services, including safeguards in place to protect people's data rights. Where we find obligations have not been met, we will take action to protect the public. And just also hearing that the UK's Ofcom, the online regulator, saying that it has set out its next steps in its investigation into X. The investigation remains ongoing. We continue to work closely with the ICO as well, finally saying that they're progressing the investigation into X as a matter of urgency. This comes on hot on the heels as well of the fact that the company behind Grok, the Musk-owned company behind Grok, is to be incorporated into the SpaceX umbrella deal there that's worth several $1 billion. More details on that to come as we get it.
So, what do you think about that?
It's interesting for sure. They're targeting X. We know that, and anything with free speech will be targeted by the New World Order forever. So,
yes,
par for the course.
Exactly. But I mean, just like the fact that Krill, how do I say this word right? He's like, okay, let's do it. Let's use Grok. Let's make images. I think it's so awesome.
You take dudes and thongs off this show.
I love how you can't handle it.
How about this? This is better. It said U.S. should sanction France for this. Trump should call Macron. Maybe even send Marco.
Yes.
I don't know how that'd be giving me, but I love that it is.
Dude, he is very, very good at what he does. There's been quite a bit of people in the administration that maybe I don't even know about his past, so I can't speak about it, where people didn't quite think they'd be a good fit or whatever. I remember even Tulsi in general, because I look at the World Economic Forum, and like I had mentioned, she was highlighted by Klaus Schwab as a global leader, and that this doesn't mean that she is connected. It meant that they had their eyes on people that had potential, that they saw if they could get their nets and their greedy fingers around them, they could use them for global manipulation. Looks like Tulsi went the other way. Looks like Tulsi's like, screw you guys. And I love Tulsi too, because she wasn't Republican, right? Was she Democrat? I think so.
Yep.
Yeah. And so she's like what I would want in an American. It doesn't really matter. See, and then this is way deep subject, so we won't go on that. But it's really like they did the two political system, right? The left and the right. But at one point, they made the left cross the line of ethics and morals and values, which they should have never. It used to be positions on political things. But then the left started doing like, we're for abortion and late abortion, killing babies, and like we're for transgender mutilation of our children. And these are like crossing ethical lines, right? That should have never been political. And so that I think that's also something that's kind of coming to light. But yeah, side topic. But so I'm not sure. Do you want me to jump into the next thing that I had the Bill Gates thread, of course. But I also
let's do that.
Okay. And you had some stuff you want to do later, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And guys, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Please give us thumbs up. So this was a thread I put together, and I won't bore you with watching Bill Gates forever. But wait a minute, guys. I think we even have a special version coming up. Ding, 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 ding. Okay, I do. I edited this. I made this a shorter clip for X. It's only 50 minutes, but we're going to play the full part when she asks Bill Gates about Jeffrey Epstein. And this, I can't remember when this video came from. So I'm sorry. I should know the date. But this was a couple years ago at least. And listen to how Bill Gates reacts to these questions about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Quite revealing.
It was reported at that time that you had a number of meetings with Jeffrey Epstein, who, when you met him 10 years ago, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution from minors. What did you know about him when you were meeting with him, as you've said yourself, in the hopes of raising money?
I had dinners with him. I regret doing that. He had relationships with people he said, would give to global health, which is a interest I have. Not nearly enough philanthropy goes in that direction. Those meetings were a mistake. They didn't result in what he purported, and I cut them off. That goes back a long time ago now. So there's nothing new on that.
It was reported that you continued to meet with him over several years, and that, in other words, a number of meetings. What did you do when you found out about his background?
Well, I've said I regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so in general, you always have to be careful. I'm very proud of what we've done in philanthropy. Very proud of the work of the foundation, that's in general. That's what I get up every day and focus on.
Oh, Billy boy. Oh, man, dude.
Crazy, right? His response. Let me play it one more time. I have it right here.
Always have to be careful.
Well, he's dead.
In general, you always have to be
Oh.
careful. Regretted having those dinners, and there's absolutely nothing new on that.
Is there a lesson for you, for
Sorry.
anyone else looking at this?
Well, he's dead, so.
Oh, think about that. Well, he's dead. And now we know that the way he explained it, we just had a few dinners and it was, for our philanthropy and stuff. That's not accurate. That's not accurate at all. They were closer, much closer.
They're much closer. And you see, let that next couple seconds play out again on that.
Okay.
In general, you always have to be careful.
See the way he's saying it? Okay, stop it now. He goes, you always got to be careful. He's threatening her. That's his way of, you can see he's gritting his teeth right after that.
Yes.
That's his way of saying, be careful. And so now it comes out that old Billy boy caught a freaking STD from some Epstein hooker, gave it to Melinda, and then was secretly dosing her food with antibiotics or drink. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how one would go about such a thing, but he was sneaking antibiotics into Melinda, and then I guess he got ratted out. But that's what this scumbag is. So that's what so it's like, this is the guy who basically worked to bully the whole world into shooting something into their arm that they didn't know the ingredients of. Remember stuff like this?
You just mentioned, obviously, the economic pain. What do you think the right balance is between the trade-off of protecting people's lives and the economic hit? I mean, do you see a situation where the global economy could be virtually at a standstill for a year or even more?
Well, it won't go to zero, but it will shrink. Global GDP is going to take probably the biggest hit ever. Maybe the Depression was worse, or 1873. I don't know. But in my lifetime, this will be the greatest economic hit. But you don't have a choice. People act like you have a choice. People don't feel like going to the stadium when
Melinda didn't have a choice.
They might get infected. It's not the government who's saying, okay, just ignore this disease. And, people are deeply affected by seeing these deaths, by knowing they could be part of the transmission chain. And, old people, their parents, their grandparents could be affected by this. And so you don't get to say, ignore what's going on here. There will be the ability, particularly in rich countries, to open up if things are done well over the next few months. But for the world at large, normalcy only returns when we've largely vaccinated the entire global population.
There it is. So, right. And this is nothing new to everyone. He went on a tour, and you see, he's speaking authoritatively. This will not happen. Like, who the fuck are you? You're not elected to anything, anywhere. You're just literally some dude out there who's not even sniffed a medical degree in your whole life, out there bullying people, going on tour, talking about a vaccination. Now, this is someone who, again, it was just revealed, was secret. This is how little morals he has, that he was putting drugs into his own wife's food just because he gave her an STD from a freaking Epstein hooker. Okay. So that line's already crossed, right? There was nothing you're telling like, well, he wouldn't do it to me. He did it to his own wife.
Yes.
He did it to his own wife. Here's a great shout out to Matt Trump, who's in the audience right now. And said, if I can find it, said, yeah, he's a serial doper. It is freaking, that's a great way of putting it. And he really is. And this guy, I think he is a terrorist. I think you could really use that word for him. I don't think it's too strong. Quick reminder, everyone here knows about Event 201. We don't have to go into it. It was a simulated coronavirus pandemic exercise held by the WEF, John Hopkins Institute of Health, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in, was that October? I believe it was October 2019. And it happened just 1 week after the New York Times broke that he had a relationship with Epstein and that he was working with Epstein years prior. Okay. So that breaks. All of a sudden, this guy holds a coronavirus pandemic exercise where he's literally, his people are there talking about vaccines and vaccination, and they have fake news commercials where they're like, oh, this information is out of control. It was literally, they literally pre-planned COVID. Okay. So that was just 3 months before COVID hit the United States, just 3 months. And then here he is. Listen to this in April. Now, this is a month after it's been declared a pandemic. Okay.
And now here we are, we didn't simulate this. We didn't practice. So both the health policies and economic policies, we find ourselves in uncharted territory. And now here we are, we didn't simulate this. We didn't practice.
What do you mean we didn't simulate it in practice? You literally did simulate, and you literally did practice it 3 months before. It's public. It's not like it's something that's hidden. It's a matter of public record. And whenever any of you have been questioned about it, your response was, they're the people involved, because it was the WHO, the CDC, every freaking official health official across the globe was involved, by the way. And when you ask them about them, they go, oh, what do you mean? And then you go, yeah, we found your videos. And they go, well, we were doing it to prepare. Well, then why did you pretend to be unprepared when it actually happened 3 months later? You just practice it. And then 3 months after that, when you're asked about it, you're literally lying.
We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice. So both.
So this guy is a lying psycho, and that is one of the main voices that pushed the COVID-19 vaccines on the global populace. Yeah, there
right
you
there.
Go.
Did you see it? Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yep.
We didn't simulate this. We didn't practice this. Bullshit. I call bullshit.
That's what we did.
Look at you, little flicks. That's my word.
Flicks. Oh yeah, so that was a fun Alphas Make Sandwich yesterday.
But yeah, this is in general.
And what if that false information is coming from
Eventual one is the craziest.
This is false information.
Very important
important that we make sure that there is concise communication with all healthcare facilities where these patients are being treated so that there isn't mass panic.
We're at a moment where
must control the news, obviously. And I love that you brought that up, Brad. In this, because I don't have time to find it, I uploaded, this is from my thread, by the way. If you guys want this, there's the full video of this, at least that I found, almost 12 minutes. And there's a part in their exercise that they're filming a woman that's on the news saying, we're 1 year into the pandemic and there's a lot of, or maybe half year, there's a lot of disinformation going out on the internet. Blah, 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 blah. This is before it happened. Okay. And even look at, like, if you look, guys, where did it show the people?
Sick.
It looks the same, right? Do they show masks? Right? Mild flu. Oh no. We got to trust the doctor in the white suit, guys. And it showed somebody, I can't find, it showed somebody in like a hospital bed and respirators. And I mean, you can't tell me, oh, it was just a coincidence. We practiced this 3 months before it actually happened. There's no way.
They have the news is on their side. That's why they filmed the fake news things. The news is, they were in on it. And this is, I'll show you one of the things they did. This is when Joe Rogan, if you guys remember, he got COVID. And he was like, oh, I'm going to try this ivermectin and a couple other things, the therapeutics that people were talking about. And remember, they were so against it and they were trying to do it. They put a filter on him to make him look more sickly. This is documented. Joe Rogan's talked about it. Everyone who has seen this has talked about. This is him. Looks normal color in his face. They literally put a filter on him while he was talking about how he's using ivermectin to make him look sickly. And now if you look here, this is what they did to the ICE protester who fought with ICE and got himself killed. They put if you're pushing their narrative, they will do this. They'll straighten your jawline.
They made him look better.
They made him look very less the way it is. They gave him they gave him like biceps.
Like, let's make him look like a good
so
liberal
This is what
American.
happens, right? If you're pushing their narrative, because obviously they're always trying to get people to go get themselves killed. They love this. The news created this, by the way. And the news plus funding, because I believe they are professional funders. And then if you're going against what they're pushing, they will make you look like a sickly ape. So that's why they say the fake news is the biggest enemy of the people. They are consistently out there either pushing lies or psychologically manipulating people into corralling them into different things. One of the great examples is with these latest Epstein files. Boy, everywhere you put on MSNBC, Trump mentioned 1,000 times in the Epstein files. And then also Bill Gates in this one, and then they go on, but they don't say what's mentioned. It's like they mentioned him, okay. It's literally Jon Stewart just came out, and I hate Jon Stewart, and he's trying to say, oh, what about Trump? What about Trump? So this is a bullshit clip that he put out, but he came out, he was mentioned one time, and it's literally Epstein talking with someone about producing something, and the person suggests, oh, you could get Jon Stewart to host it. And so people were just saying, Jon Stewart mentioned in the Epstein files. And then he came out and was like, yeah, they talked about me. Okay, big deal. Right. It doesn't mean like I'm getting STD hookers like Bill Gates, right? And I agree with what he said. And then, of course, he tried to turn on Trump, which is just pathetic. They all do that. But this is what, again, MSNBC, and I saw CBS one doing it. Trump mentioned all these times, and then they don't tell you the mentions. Because they're obsessively talking. He talked about Trump a lot. The guy was obsessed with Trump. And also, too, is you see a lot of the allegations, these fake stories that have been thrown out that they're saved as part of the Epstein files, that they're just saying them as if it's some CIA investigation. It's literally one of them is just a limo driver who just called the FBI like a week before the 2020 election, was like, Trump raped the girl and they killed her.
Yeah.
And obviously that they They looked at it and were like, okay, and threw it out. And then the other one was the fake, the story that's been out since it happened in 2016. Also, right before the 2016 election, the girl who was anonymous at first, now we know her name is Katie, claimed that Trump raped her when she was 14. And it was literally, the story was originally shopped around by a Jerry Springer producer, was the first person to start shopping this story around. They finally get it. They bring it to court and they look at it. And an Obama appointed judge thought it was so laughably fake that she threw it out. And we know everyone, even remotely associated with Obama or the left, was like clamoring to destroy Trump, especially at this time. This is knee deep in Crossfire Hurricane. And they still throw this bullshit claim out because they're just, I mean, like anyone could call up. One of you guys could call up the FBI tomorrow and just be like, I heard Alex Pretty. I knew him. I went to school with him. And he actually raped a child right before he went after the ICE agents. And then they'll take down your claim and it'll be fake because you've effing made it up. And then some
leaked to the press
with zero research skills 10 years later will be like, it's in the FBI files. It's just like, I don't know.
This is such a good point, though. It's a brilliant point. That's why context is everything. I remember growing up, like, during homeschool, like if we'd read, I guess a great example would be the Bible. If we'd be reading the Bible and we'd be reading a couple verses, like just jump to this verse and read it. And you're like, oh, well, that's really good. But then my mom or my dad would be like, well, what's the context of this?
I love that.
So they're like, oh, well, yeah, what do they say before? And then what they said, and what do they say after? Because that's exactly what jump cuts are, what the press does with fake news. Trump says something and he's about to say something else, and they cut it. And then they splice that with this. And then next thing you know, Trump said this. No, he didn't. That's not the context. You little flicks. Shame on you. That's the thing, is being a video editor. I feel like I have a lot more say because I can see it and I'm like, oh, they cut that right there. 100%. Or they tried to, or they splice that, or Brad, you're good enough and I'm good enough, especially now with AI. We can make a video. We probably could make a video that's almost undetectable and make somebody say something that they didn't say.
Yeah. Isn't that scary?
It's easy. So you can do it. Yep. So, So, it is what it is. Right. But we got to be aware of that. And we got to catch jump cuts and think for ourselves and understand context. That's like key to everything in this information war. Sharpen your minds. But yeah, did you have more to go with that?
No, that's pretty much what I was saying.
Okay, so to go back then to Bill Gates, like I said, there's more on this thread, and most of them are just like the long form videos, but I find them so like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff in these. But I found that years before the pandemic, the Gates Foundation funneled $20 million to Moderna in 2016 for mRNA HIV work. And Brad, I don't know if you could find that video. You remember the video where they so slightly admit inside the COVID-19 vaccine is a piece they took from the HIV virus and using CRISPR inserted it into the gene thing, and now it replicates it. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah. So that was one of the early test vaccines that they were looking to do that from Australia. And it's just like, well, what else were they doing? What did they do in the vaccines that wound up getting passed? Right. It's just insane.
But the whole point is the whole point is he was investing in this work before this pandemic happened. So that means to me, as an investigative reporter, they knew this was coming. They knew COVID was coming before it came, and they invested, and they were smart about it, and they made millions. So then September 2019, $55 million was put into biotech/Pfizer partnership. Again, before COVID, skyrocketing to $550 million value by 2021. Coincidence? I think not.
Right.
And then to kind of wrap up with this whole Gates thing, this was something during the time that all of us anons threw around. Like, holy cow. And this is where, this is where that's the next one, but I'll play this one. And this is Gates has long warned about a pandemic. In 2010 TED Talk, he discussed reducing population growth through better healthcare, including vaccines, and I say, AKA depopulation. So let's hear what he says.
And that constraint has to do with CO2. CO2 is warming the planet. And the equation on CO2 is actually a very
the green new
straightforward
scam.
one. If
right?
you sum up the CO2 that gets emitted, that leads to a temperature increase. And that temperature increase leads to some very negative effects. The effects on the weather, perhaps worse, the indirect effects in that the natural ecosystems can't adjust to these rapid changes, and so you get ecosystem collapses. Now, the exact amount of how you map from a certain increase in CO2 to what temperature will be and where the positive feedbacks are, there's some uncertainty there, but not very much.
He's dealing with
and there's certainly
STDs.
uncertainty about
I
how
don't know
bad
what
those
feed was
effects
at this
will be,
time,
but they will be
think about
extremely
that.
bad. I asked the top scientists on this several times, do we really have to get down to near zero? Can't we just, cut it in half or a quarter? And the answer is that until we get near to zero, the temperature will continue to rise. And so that's a big challenge. It's very different than saying, we're a 12-foot high truck trying to get under a 10-foot bridge and we can just sort of squeeze under. This is something that has to get to zero.
Oh.
Now, we put out a lot of carbon dioxide every year, over 26 billion tons. For each American, it's about 20 tons. For people in poor countries, it's less than 1 ton.
Shame on us for
about
breathing.
5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes
that will
bring that down to zero. It's
Stop
been
breathing.
constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero.
Oh, shit.
That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase.
Okay, so I happen to have it right at the end of that clip. Silly me. But yeah, if we do a really good job, all this problem of all of us breathing and just putting out too much CO2, if we do really good with vaccinations, that's going to go down. What? Yeah. You're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Did you just say what you said? You said, yes, he did. So that's very, very messed up. And then this one's just really short here.
It's most likely to be a highly infectious virus.
Right.
If anything
2015.
kills over 10 million people in the next few decades, it's most likely to be a highly infectious virus rather than a war. Not missiles, but microbes. Now, part of the reason for this is that we've invested a huge amount in nuclear deterrence, but we've actually invested very little in a system to stop an epidemic. We're not ready for the next epidemic. Let's look at Ebola.
So let's invest a ton of money into something that I'm telling you is going to happen. And oh, I guess it just happened. Well, I already invested a bunch of money, so I'm good. Like, holy, when you really see how they come out, and they're so bold and they're so blatant. It's heartless. It's just crazy. But anyways, yeah. So that's pretty much all I had on Bill Gates with that.
The old Billy Gates.
Oh yes, and you said I see where you messaged me.
And then
oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
This is here we can wrap it up with this right here. I thought this was great. I'm Bill Gates. I'm not a doctor. I was a tech nerd until I decided there were too many people on Earth. I'm Tedros Adhanom. I'm not a doctor. I was a Marxist terrorist until I took over the World Health Organization.
Oh my gosh.
These are the people. These are the people who bullied everyone and taken vaccines. And it's funny because, well, it's not funny, but for some people, they really didn't have a choice. You know, it's easy for us to say, like, why didn't you resist? Yeah, I was in a position where I was able to. There were a lot of people who literally they couldn't afford to lose their job. It was the matter of becoming, homeless or in a hole that you'll never dig yourself out of, or taking a shot. And I know there's a lot of people who did it. They regretted it. And thankfully they didn't get any boosters, and hopefully you get further and further past it. It'll get better for them. But I think that was definitely a eugenics program. I'm fully convinced at this point.
Yeah. I started looking into the investors. This name Gavi kept on popping up all the time. And there are people that like make vaccines and things for all these different companies like Pfizer, and like they all work together. And it was just like when I was going through the whole thing with Gates, because of in the Epstein files, so retardedly hilarious. But the key factor, what you brought out, Brad, was that if he would do this to his own wife behind the scenes and put shit in her food and her water, what would he do to the regular citizens that he doesn't even know? Yeah,
that he is on camera lamenting the size of that there's too many people. So
mad science going on there. And you start to see it. It like the future proofs past concept should just be used in general in our life. Like, always remember what happened so you can look back and go, holy crap, I've been involved in a crazy global psyop. That's nuts, and like also talk about it and don't let that stuff get pushed under the rug. But Bill Gates is one, but then the other one that I can't wait for, Fauci. He needs to be exposed. And it's like there were these exposures. Remember, like even had great clips of back in the day, Ron Paul, which I don't respect now, questioning him about these things. And I was like, here we go. We're going to get some stuff. And it just never came out. So I'm one of those people that I'm like, I want it all exposed. The truth. People died. People in my family died because of not the virus, right? I mean, the virus, yes, but also all the crappy Fauci crap was, behind the scenes. It was put onto all the medical institutions, hospitals, and then they all had to follow these rules. And like even my own parents, they got very ill. And because of their stupid, you can't come in here and you have to wear a mask. You vaccinated, not vaccinated. We can't help you. Like there was a priority there. They wanted people to get this vaccine. And, I hope nothing bad comes of it. You know me, Brad, and I'm not going to go into crazy topics, but I feel there is still something behind that vaccine. I still feel, why would they want the whole world to get it? And so, it's one of those things, but that's why, be educated. And again, like what me and Ash talked about on Culture Change last night, they've been doing these prepared drills, like Brad, you found for me too. What was it? Epidemic response since like 2008. They've been doing that at the World Health Organization and the WHO and things like that. So
that particular one, right?
That this has been an ongoing thing, and these are false flags that people like to throw, or that the elites like to throw out. So just be educated, stay sharp.
And listen, there are people, I'm sure there's a lot of people going into these who really want to help the world and And they get into medicine, and then they go, all right, this is the blah, blah, blah conference. We're going to be going over what if an influenza thing broke out. How would we deal with it? And, they're going about it. I'm not saying everyone involved in everything like that is evil, because then there are things that happen. Like when you mention Event 201, they're like, man, they do those all the time. And it's like, well, one, okay, that's fine. Do they do it all the time 3 months before the exact thing happens and then pretend like they don't know what's going on? Because that's weird. That's totally weird. And two, John Hopkins doesn't. John Hopkins only did 4 in 20 years. So that's why it was interesting. Also, the first one was just a couple months before 9/11, and it was called Dark Winter. And literally there are people describing 9/11 as like, oh, it looked like a dark winter because there was all the ash, and there was inches of ash, which some people said it looked like snow and stuff. So it's just very interesting that happened right before 9/11. There was the second one happened a couple years later called Atlantic Storm, right before Hurricane Katrina, the worst Atlantic storm of our lifetime. And then the third and fourth one were pandemic drills right before COVID, 2018 and 2019. Clade X was someone spreading a virus across the world. And then very next year, again, they hadn't had one at that time in 13 years.
Oh, so there's a space.
John Hopkins, they did another one the very next year, Event 201, and this time they teamed up with the World Economic Forum and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And then literally everything they went over in that one fucking happened 3 months later. So that's why it's weird.
Yep. And that's why, paying attention to patterns is important. That's the critical thinking again. If we just can observe what has happened to us, remember, document it, and then look back. And it's not politics. It's funny because you'll have a lot of people be like, well, I just don't pay attention to politics. But it's not politics. It's the world you live in. The deep state cabal. First of all, I feel like we're winning, by the way. I'm not a pessimist. I am so excited about Trump administration, everything that's happening. He is like kicking butt. But that's why we're having things like X over Paris getting raided. Like, this is a war. You're watching a war. No bullets have been fired. But when you understand what, let's say, information is the tool, you could say, or the weapon, whatever, information, right? False ones, true ones, made up ones, AI ones, who freaking knows, right? So we need to, it's hard, but a lot of the things the filter I run everything through, like when I see posts online or people that I'm supporting, I run it through the filter of, is this good? Is this godly? Is this heroic? Is this just? If it is, I support it. And to the best of my knowledge. But if it's not, sorry. Move along.
Moving on. Yeah, this has been the best 10 years of exposure in probably the history of mankind. We are living in unprecedented times, my friends. And speaking of, is it godly? That makes me think of a certain post by one Nicki Minaj. I can't believe Nicki Minaj is on the team these days, but she is. I guess crazier things have happened. But when you see, it's just another it's indicative of another great thing Trump has been doing. Trump is actually looking out for Christians worldwide, and that is something that got through to her. And you can tell that she's a real person, that she was just like, wow, that is amazing. And she has been going in and just like totally cutting these people up. Nicki Minaj is definitely not someone you want to make angry. And she had this interesting post 2 days ago. It says, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. Mm-hmm. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. Now, wow. Also, too, I want to point out, this isn't like some like low level, right? One of the ways they tried to push off, when Isaac Cappy came out, they were like, well, he don't know. He's just an extra. He's not a huge actor or nothing, right? They tried to like diminish his credentials, which shouldn't matter, right? This is the guy who's like, listen, freaking Seth Green showed me some of himself. I know this about these guys. That none of that should have mattered, but this is their big tactic. What are you doing with Nicki Minaj? This isn't some one-hit wonder. This is someone who was literally at the absolute pinnacle of the music industry for a while, actually.
Yes.
So the fact that she's saying this is massive, and it holds a lot of weight. So I think I think the veil is being ripped off. It reminds me of this was this guy John Todd, who had come out in the 70s, and he had made a bunch of claims. He said he was I believe he claims to be, he had been an insider, knew about the Illuminati, or was in the Illuminati. He'll break it down at one point, but he started breaking down the Illuminati and who they were, how it worked. And one of the things is he also broke down the music industry, which he says he worked for. And I'm going to play you this clip. Actually, before I play this clip, no, you know what? Let me play this first, and then I'll make another comment on it. But this is just interesting. And again, it's just some guy's claim, but this is a guy who claimed to work in the music industry and to know about the Illuminati.
I was the manager of Zodiac Productions, which Zodiac Productions name's been changed since then. I'm not even sure what to call it now, but it's the largest music conglomerate in the world. It owns RCA Records, Columbia Records, Motown Records, owns almost all the concert booking agencies in the United States. And that's not even the name of the company that owns it. The name of the company that owns it is Brenner Enterprises, and Brenner Enterprises is owned by Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan's owned by Standard Oil, and Standard Oil is owned by the Lords of London. You can track it on back. You kind of get the idea after a while. But I was the managing president of Zodiac Productions. It's one of my jobs, as being one of these 13 people. Thus, I got to know many of the people who produce music and sing the music and play the music that you play. Now, one of the closest friends that I got during that time that I obtained was a man named David Crosby. I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I'd like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I got to know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He says, the same as when you were in, so that we can play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master's cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive office. And it's placed on an altar sitting in the north of the room, and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He said, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music.
Yeah.
Do you know of ever?
So, that's interesting.
So good, dude. You can still play more of it.
Yeah, I'll play more in a second. That was his claims that they put a spell on it. And I think I've heard a lot of people talk about this in the past, that music is kind of almost spell casting, and that a lot of them, they do it for this reason. For either way, they definitely use it. Certain bands, certain artists. I don't think every band or artist is in that camp, but they use the main ones to push certain things. Music is one of the best ways to push psychological operations. And the reason why I play that is because it does go along with what Nicki Minaj is claiming here. And again, this is a huge claim from one of the industry's top artists.
Yes. And I agree with her 100%. And what that guy was just saying, I've come across that same talk of how they'll have an empty chair. They'll try to summon an entity or summon an entity in a person. And then, of course, I think it was me and you, and we were really tracking down how many artists have openly said, oh, yeah, I sold my soul. You know, I sold my soul.
Right.
So I could get famous. Yeah, I did
a
that.
whole video on that one time.
They
Yeah.
say that. Oh, so that's how I know. Because I'm like, I know you talked about it, but yeah. So
yeah,
definitely, I think it happens. And the fact that they had to be witches or warlocks to continue also falls into what I've researched as well.
Yeah, and also it follows the thing that, you know, a couple of years after that, he was brought up on rape charges that he maintained his innocence the whole time, and they put him away for 30 years for this girl, and he says it wasn't rape. So and he put him away for 30 years, and when he got out in 2004, they put him in a mental institution where he died a couple years later. But that was this guy. He came out, he was talking about the Illuminati, breaking down the music industry. This is what they seem to do nowadays. So I don't know. Listen, if you really rape this girl, that's horrendous. He needs to go away. But this is what they do. They come up with these charges, and it makes you wonder how many back in the day, assuming I kind of assume that one might have been, you know, them messing with him and just a way to take his freedom away. If that's the case, and it does seem like we've seen that many times over the years.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the easiest things to do, you know. You raped a girl. And look, me being a woman, like raping is terrible, right? And for anything, anybody, children, grown up, doesn't matter. It's just a terrible act. But what an easy way to destroy somebody, right? And then, of course, if somebody's speaking, you know, openly like he was, oh yeah, they're going to come for you, especially if you're revealing the secrets of the cult, because you're not supposed to do that. And there's it says in their books, like, you will get your head chopped off or something if you talk about this. Like, they already know when they're whistleblowing that they're going to possibly risk getting killed. But that's the thing, is that it's because of the whistleblowers we know of these things. And when you were going through that, it reminded me of music. And you remember this movie, Leave the World Behind?
Yes.
By Obama. And they do use, right here, she's covering her ears. That's when they're doing like a sound weapon in the movie. And it just, and they fall to the ground. They can't do anything. Probably a lot like what that survivor from the Maduro operation talks about, how they just fell to the ground. Well, in that movie, there was a couple that do video editing and stuff, and I can't find the clip of it, but they dragged that movie into they bought the ability to have the official track, and they dragged it into their video editing program, Brad, like what we have through Sony Vegas. When they put that video in, most videos, and there's a few tracks I've had this happen, but most videos just have one soundtrack. That video had an underlying tone, two separate soundtracks besides the main one where the talking is, that played through the whole movie, and you can't even hear it. So it's important to know that there can be warfare and things going on in your music, like how they said putting a secret call, or they did a master track and they run it through a certain thing. Is it a type of frequency that they're making it go through?
Right.
Right.
Very well could be.
So many things that this could lead to. So, yeah, that
many
poor
ways
man
to manipulate. Right.
But yeah, that's pretty wild. I didn't know about that at all. And
so it's an interesting claim,
video.
right? You know, it's someone making a claim, so take it with a grain of salt. But it's just something that always stuck out to me over the years. And we know the music industry, that we know they're satanic. It's at least rampant in it. And I'm not even meaning like I'm a metalhead, obviously. There's a lot of that in metal. it's weird because in a weird way, it almost feels like it's not even real to them. It's like gimmicky. But then you see a lot of these artists, these pop artists, and they're doing shows, and there's all these satanic imagery behind them. Or, I mean, sometimes some of these recent ones, they're literally dressing up like Satan or having Satan in their music videos and stuff. So, I mean, there's like, we've way crossed the line. Obviously, Rise and Tire has been doing a great series now on that. And it really goes deep. So this is the soul battle for the mind. We see what they've done to society. Last week we were talking about the breakdown of the family unit through the women's liberation movement, and they have slowly just been chipping away. And look at what society was. We always go back to the 50s, but like, that is a great marker. It's only 70 years ago. In the grand scheme of time and history, that's not a huge amount of time. And in the 50s, people were like nice white picket fences, and people were saying "gosh darn," or getting smacked by their parents, and little kids dressing up with suits and stuff. And now the entire world is devolved into. I mean, shit. I probably have said the F word 3 or 4 times on this program, and I feel like we're one of the better ones who have, from the demoralization of society. But it's been completely demoralized in just, what would you say, 3 or 4 generations?
Oh man. And but it really changed after like 2010. You know what I mean?
Way up with
whenever
Obama, yes.
That stuff was like anti-Christian. What was that big push you talk about often where it's like
atheism?
Atheism. Yeah. Atheism push. I think transgender. See, when did that start coming? The push of it, and all of that, and it just really tweaked with the people, especially the young kids. And we've talked about it. I don't want to be like a circling, whatever that's called, beating the horse. I don't know what they say.
Beating the dead horse.
But the children did suffer during COVID big time. Also, them being just isolated, not going out, all this stuff, not getting education, just crazy. And I mean good education. But crap, I lost my point.
I hate it when that happens. It's like you got so many things rattling around in there.
Yeah. Oh, the kids. That's right. Like just the other day, I saw some kids running outside. Remember, Brad, I pointed out to you. I was like, there's kids. Like, whoa, after school, interesting, outside. And I've heard people say this often where it's like, you notice that since the touch screen phone happened, all the way that things were touch phone, and then also how it's just dangerous now for kids. They can just get, taken away and kidnapped. You don't see them outside anymore. They come home from school and they're inside. There's no, you guys remember they'd be riding bikes, there'd be skateboards, kids would just be goofing off, climbing a tree. I don't know, like
video games.
And that's gone. Yeah. So that's kind of, we need to come back a little bit and equal that balance out. I know we can, but it takes, get off that phone, you go outside and dig that ditch.
Well, one thing I think with the kids and the tech is maybe we're starting to see a little pendulum swing back. I don't know. Yeah. It's interesting, but I think it was cool. Like I said, we're at the hardware store and we saw some kids just playing in the street, of course, but still they're outside. So
didn't we drive by and they're like something at us? But it was just like old school, right?
They yell at us.
Yeah, they made a little silly squeak or something at us, like just like kids do. But yeah, I do take that as a good sign, and we need to start encouraging and fostering that more. Which I do believe this new, not just the MAGA movement, but just the idea that I was talking to my mom about this. We're so held back, like. When you grew up as a kid, at least for my times, like you grow up and you're like, well, actually, you can't really do what you want unless you have an 8+ year degree. And well, actually, you can't, because you have to pay rent for the rest of your life. Whatever. Like, we didn't change that. Trump is hitting that head on by finding the core problems of the economy, talking about the Federal Reserve with our money, going globally, saying let's bring economy back into our country so that we're producing the products that we use, so we're not reliant on other countries that could, mess with us. And he's setting it up for that. Setting up that the program where if you had a child within that year, you sign up. I forget what is the Trump something program, and it builds money for that child each year, $1,000.
Oh yeah.
And
The I don't know, Trump funds or whatever he's calling them. Yeah.
From every angle, when I step back, I see what he's doing. And guys, he is trying to make the biggest economic boom, but not just economic, families, life, morals, happiness, right? Yeah. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. He's trying to make that come back again, along with very brilliant minds like Elon and even like General Quast, who comes on like, the future isn't over. It's like just begun, guys. It's just begun. And I think that's attitude we got to be taken into definitely this next year, but for the rest of our lives in general.
Amen. Yeah, amen. And I feel like it's the attitude we have been taking in, which is a beautiful thing. So why I love what's been happening to this country. It's been such an epic turnaround right now. And yeah, things are volatile. Things are always freaking volatile. And it's funny, for many years I was like, I can't take a second. I can't take a break. I can't take a break. Well, this is happening. Well, what about what happened? And then after a while, you're like, oh, stuff happens every day. You pretty much just have to force yourself to, take a step back from time to time, or else you just kind of get lost in the trees of it. Sometimes it's nice to not have to react the very night, something will happen. And then especially us, so we live stream a lot and people were like, what did you think? And they want you to give a definitive, flushed out opinion on something that happened that morning. And I got news for you. Anyone who's purporting to know exactly what it means right out of the gate is either lying to themselves or lying to you. It's just, there's no way. You have to let things play out a little bit sometimes. So yeah, I think it's nice that the world is starting to kind of heal and take a second from time to time. And every time I've been doing that with this administration, it's just been great. They've been one home run after the other. But with that being said, we have reached the end of our program, and we do have a celebration today. And she didn't ask to do this. This is just something I think is so freaking cool. But our own Susan in the chat released a book today that she says has been 11 years in the making. I hope she's okay with me showing
Congratulations.
This. Her screen name is her name. So it's not like it's doxing anyone, but called Tap into Hope, a guide to helping children heal from grief using the power of EFT tapping. So this is super freaking cool. This is kind of on topic. That was not planned, by the way. And yeah, you guys should totally. I just ordered a copy. Not to pressure you guys or anything, but if you want, definitely go get a copy and leave a good review for our friend Susan, because this looks super cool. And I just love when I see people doing things, anything. It doesn't even have to be for the Patriot movement. You're just adding something into the world that didn't exist before. And as a lifelong artist, a musician, I guess you'd say, I call that artist, and musician / whatever you'd call me now, content creator, I love it.
I love it too. And that's so cool that helping children with emotional freedom and thing. Man, we live in we've been ran by quite a bit of narcissistic types of global leaders and players, but we're definitely coming around and seeing that damage and being aware of it, facing it, and then healing. And I think that's the whole thing about making America great again, but the golden age is, the things that don't serve you, let's be honest about it. Let's expose them and let's flake them off. We don't need that anymore and move forward. And it's such a beautiful thing. And it's so exciting. And Brad, I want to pull this up real quick because you said something about like I can't see the forest in the trees or something. I don't know.
Oh,
what you said.
perfect.
And I was gonna play it, and then you kept. Anyways, so it didn't work. But this was something I found, and I did ask AI if it was AI, and it said no. but then I did research and I found out this is an actual tree cutting technique. I've not seen it employed here. It probably is because we have very thick forests, but check this out. This is impressive. Whoa.
That's incredible.
That is so cool.
That is cool.
So that they dominoed the trees, guys. I just thought that was super awesome.
That's what we needed down on our property.
Dude. Yeah, dude, 100%. And I did see we have a super chat before we go, babe. Where am I?
Well, that was the super chat from Susan talking about how celebrating the launch of her new book. Just
and
cool.
4D Starks gifted 5 subscriptions. That's what I saw.
Sweet.
So I'm like, there's another little thing here. So guys, thank you so very much. And yeah, give us thumbs up. And I guess tomorrow you're doing a show, but we've been well, maybe I shouldn't say what you've been working on.
It's funny. I was just about to say
okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
A little teaser for next week.
Oh, you're not going to say?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll say. Yeah, a little teaser for next week. We've been trying to put together like a little dog run for Sparky. There's nowhere here. There are no like enclosed parks where we could just let him run. And most people let their dogs just kind of roam the neighborhood here, which is fine for like a bigger dog, especially a bigger trained dog. Sparky is so small and he just wants to run, especially when he goes in the woods. He will just run into the woods and fall into a hole. And it's like, it's sad because you'd like to let him go just roam around, but you just really can't with him. So he has nowhere to really run around. So we've been putting together an area for him, and hopefully it'll be done by next week. And we'll have a little video for you guys so you can see Sparky finally getting to run around free.
Yeah, so we put it down on our property, and so when we're building, when we start the projects or get the gravel in hopefully this spring, we'll see how it all goes. Because all you guys that build out there, it never works the way you want it. But as we're down there building, it'll be great because Sparky will have a place. Because before I would have him tied up, right? Then he would like circle around things and get caught. And so this will be really fun. He's such an adorable dog. And I've been hinting at Brad, like, maybe we get a little girl puggy and maybe little puppies. And he's like, I don't know about that one. Speaking of pugs,
maybe we'll see. We're gonna have a freaking pug farm. Oh, there he is right there. He doesn't even know what's coming right now. He does little sprints back and forth here all the time.
Oh, he's just like, I'm very comfortable right now. That's his chair.
Chilling. He has chicken meatballs, so he's happy.
Chicken meatballs.
We're like, he's such a picky dog. We'll get treats or just random things for him, even just regular food. He won't touch it if he doesn't want it. And it's like, this is my 4th pug, and trust me, pugs usually will eat anything, and he will not touch it, man. And for a lot of different things. So I tried a new one. They're supposed to be little chicken meatballs, and he was hesitant. And then Abby broke it open for him, and he was like, "Oh, I like this." And now he just gobbles them down. So that's his new favorite.
That's so adorable.
Old Spark man.
Well, guys, thank you so much, and please give us thumbs up. And we will lead you out over to Story Hour. Are they going right now? I hope they're going.
They're starting in 2 minutes.
Okay.
And they are going to do Troy. I never saw Troy. I wanted to, though. I feel like they have a whole plethora of things where I'm like, oh, yeah, I wanted to see that movie. And then I just haven't. So I'm bad. Movies feel like a waste of time for me these days. I swear, the last like 10 years, like I'm watching a movie and I'm like, all right, this is preventing me from like digging and working on stuff. Like, can we get to the plot? All right, with the movie I've seen 40 times. But then it's cool to watch a cool movie. Like we watched a cool one the other day. What was that? The Manchurian Candidate with Denzel Washington, the newer one.
That was good.
And that was actually a really awesome movie. So
see, it's funny though, because it's still within what we do. Because I was like looking into MK Ultra stuff, right? I'm like, oh yeah, Manchurian Candidate. Oh, there was a new Manchurian Candidate. Oh, let's watch that one. So that was fun.
Sunstone says, hi, Brad and Abby. Good show, but Elon is installing Starlink tonight and took out our internet, so I missed some. Oh, interesting. Love you both. Andy Pamela. It's always good to see you, Pamela.
Oh, much love to you. Yeah, I hope the Starlink thing works out. Are you getting it upgraded? It sounds like so. Yeah. But
are you getting Starlink? Is that how it's working, or did they just disrupt your whole town? That would be wild.
Okay, guys. Well, we'll be heading out, and yeah, Brad, if you have anything, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, no, I did not watch Troy Burning Bright. I one day I'll see it. Maybe.
Oh, it's that right?
We're gonna raid you guys over, and you're gonna talk about Troy anyway, whether you've seen it or not.
Exactly. All right, guys, give us thumbs up. Much love, and we will see you next week.
Peace.